You're sitting across from her. The room's quiet. She's not yelling. She's not crying. But out of nowhere, she starts talking about how stressed she is, how her job sucks, how her friend betrayed her. You nod, you listen, you think, she trusts me, she's opening up. But what if I told you that moment is not what it looks like? What if I told you she's not venting, she's testing, she's calculating, she's shifting the weight of her emotions onto you? Have you ever left a conversation with a woman feeling tired? Not because of the words, but because something in you was drained. You thought you were being a good man, supportive, present. But what if every time you did that, you were lowering your value in her eyes, not raising it? Comment, "No more dumping ground, Belle," because today we're unpacking a truth most men never figure out. Number 1, she's fishing for validation. You think she's opening up because she trusts you. You think it's a sign that you're building something deeper. You think it's a good thing when she tells you about how her best friend betrayed her, how her co-workers are toxic, how life is hard. But she's not building with you, she's pulling from you. And this is where most men miss it completely. When a woman starts telling you her problems, it's rarely about connection. It's about validation. She's not always looking for help. She's not asking for your perspective. She's not even checking if you're a good listener. She's seeking to feel better about herself through the energy you give her. The more you listen, nod, sympathize, and lean in, the more she feels seen and important. You become her emotional vending machine. She pushes the button, you dispense warmth, concern, attention. But here's the harsh truth. She's not validating you. She's not appreciating your leadership, your clarity, your vision. She's just using your attention to feel good, temporarily. And when she's done, she pulls back, disappears, or labels you sweet, but not the kind of man she wants. And now you're sitting there wondering what went wrong. You were there for her. You were a good guy. You listened, you cared, you gave, and she gave you nothing back. Because in her eyes you didn't give value. You gave away neediness disguised as compassion. And that's where you lose the game before it even starts. Validation is power. When you give it too freely, especially without earning, you cheapen yourself. You become her emotional safety net without being her emotional equal. She respects men who stand outside her chaos, not those who get dragged into it. Have you ever wondered why she texts you only when she's down? Why you hear from her when her day is bad but disappear when things go well? Because you're not her partner, you're her painkiller. And she doesn't love the painkiller. She just uses it when the ache comes. Real men don't serve women's emotions, they lead through them. And leadership starts with clarity. The clarity to ask yourself, is this connection real? Or am I just giving her attention she hasn't earned? Every time you listen to her problems, you're training her. You're telling her that your time is cheap, that your energy is accessible, that your emotional availability is unconditional. And no woman respects that. She may appreciate it, like a customer appreciates good service, but she doesn't admire it. And if she doesn't admire you, she won't follow you. She won't grow with you. She won't stand beside you when life gets hard. Because you were never her man. You were her emotional supply. And emotional supply is replaceable. If you're reading this and realizing how many times you've played this role, then it's time to reframe your value. Start measuring your worth not by how much you give, but by how much you protect. Protect your energy. Protect your time. Protect your mind. Don't let a woman's emotional chaos be your default setting for connection. The next time she starts venting, ask yourself, am I adding value here or just being used? Am I building something or just being drained? If the answer is the latter, set boundaries. You don't have to be rude, you don't have to walk away, but you do have to stand tall, shift the conversation, ask questions that lead to action, not emotional looping. And most importantly, Watch her response, because a woman who respects you will appreciate your leadership. A woman who doesn't will disappear the moment you stop playing her emotional sidekick. And that's the best thing that could ever happen to you. Because when you start protecting your energy, like it actually means something, everything in your life shifts. And that shift doesn't stop at awareness. It grows with strategy. That's why I wrote the Stoic Relationship Blueprint, not just for the man who's been drained, used, or misunderstood, but for the man who's done with being emotionally played. This book is the exact playbook to regain your power, rebuild your frame, and walk into every interaction with calm, clarity, and control. It answers the questions you've been too proud to ask and too ashamed to admit. Why do I keep attracting the wrong women? Why does she lose respect when I give more? How do I lead without being cold? You don't have to figure this out alone anymore. And the best part? Once you have the book, it's yours for life. No subscription, just timeless truth in your hands whenever you need it. The link's in the comments. Don't wait for another heartbreak to wake you up. Number 2, she's measuring your masculinity. Every word you say, every pause you take, every breath you draw when she's talking about her problems. She's watching it all. Don't be fooled when she tells you about how her day was hard, how her friend stabbed her in the back, how she feels lost. She's not just unloading. She's conducting a silent test. She's checking for one thing. Can this man handle me? And what she means by that isn't about helping her solve the issue. She's not looking for a therapist. She's not looking for advice. She's looking to see if your emotional center is stronger than hers. This is where men fail without even realizing they were being tested. Because most men, raised in a culture that tells them to be supportive at all costs, jump into action. They get anxious. They start offering 10 solutions in 10 seconds. They mirror her emotions. They lean in. They try to connect. And in doing so, they fail the test. Because the real test is this: can you remain composed when she isn't? Can you hold emotional space without being pulled into it? Can you remain unmoved, focused, present, without reacting? That's what she's really watching for. That's the strength she's trying to feel. And if you miss that, if you overreact, overcommit, over-explain, you show her that her chaos has power over you. And that, to her, is weakness. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but deeply, biologically. She loses respect. And once respect dies, everything dies with it. You become a shell. She still calls. She still smiles. She still uses your time. But she doesn't follow you. She doesn't believe in you. And worst of all, she doesn't desire you. Have you ever been in a situation where everything seemed fine? She was texting, calling, opening up, but something felt off. That's it. That's the respect deficit. You passed her emotional filter, but failed her leadership filter. And it's the leadership filter that determines if she sees you as a man or a therapist. You can change this. You must change this. Because in every conversation, you're either gaining ground or giving it away. You're either building your frame or surrendering it. And your frame is everything. It's how you move. It's how you speak. It's how you react, especially under pressure. Start small. The next time a woman starts sharing emotional weight with you, pause. Don't respond immediately. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Ask her questions that force her to think. Make her do the emotional work. That's leadership. Don't offer solutions unless she asks. And even then, offer perspective, not fixing. Be calm, be grounded, be emotionally untouchable. That's when she starts looking at you differently. That's when her eyes change. That's when her body leans in. Because now she feels safe, not emotionally pampered, but emotionally led. And that changes everything. That's the moment the dynamic shifts from you being a shoulder to cry on, to you being a foundation she respects. And when you start moving like this in life, not just in relationships, People treat you differently. Men trust you. Women follow you. Opportunities open. Because in a world full of noise and reaction, your stillness becomes rare, powerful, magnetic. That's what she's measuring. Not your ability to fix, but your ability to stay fixed. So, the next time she tells you her problems, understand what's really happening and respond like a man who's no longer trying to prove, but a man who already knows who he is. Number 3, she's secretly attracted. Attraction doesn't always come dressed in flirtation, smiles, or playful touches. Sometimes it shows up wearing pain, wearing confusion, wearing tears. When a woman starts opening up to you about her darkness, her regrets, her mistakes, it's not always because you're the safest. It's because deep down she's pulled toward you. But here's where men get it wrong. They mistake her vulnerability for romance. They think, she's telling me all of this because she wants something real with me. But they forget one thing. Attraction alone is not enough. It's not the presence of vulnerability that makes a man valuable. It's what he does with it. If you melt, if you over-nurture, if you become her emotional nurse, the attraction dies in the very next breath. Because now, you've entered a role she never intended to assign. You've gone from man to caretaker, from desire to duty, from mystery to comfort. And comfort, when given too early, kills all tension, all chase, all polarity. That's what most men never see coming. They get addicted to the validation they feel when she opens up. They think it means she's falling. They don't realize she's just checking to see if he's worthy of her attraction, not if he's ready to receive it. Imagine this. You're sitting with her, and she starts pouring out her past. The guy who hurt her, the way she lost herself, how she's trying to heal. Most men lean forward, soften their tone, and start comforting her like a therapist would. They tell her it wasn't her fault, that she deserves better, that they'll be the guy who's different. But what does that really say to her? It says you're trying to earn her through sympathy, not sovereignty. It says you're trying to bond with her pain instead of standing above it and inviting her into your peace. And the moment she senses you're emotionally led instead of emotionally leading, the attraction she felt instantly flips into a feeling of control. She controls the narrative, she controls the pace, she controls the emotion. And if she controls all of that, she doesn't need to respect you. And if she doesn't respect you, there is no real attraction. There's only convenience. You become useful, not desired. That's why you need to recognize this moment for what it really is, a fork in the road. When she opens up, you have a choice. You can lean in and get pulled into her emotional timeline, or you can stand firm, listen, but never give up your emotional position. That's when she sees the real difference. That's when she realizes he's not reacting like other men. And that is what pulls her deeper, not into comfort, but into curiosity. Curiosity is what maintains attraction. When she can't read you like a script. When your strength unsettles her just enough to make her lean in further. Not because you're cold, but because you're consistent. You don't reward vulnerability with weakness. You meet it with direction, with clarity, with grounded energy. And if she's the right woman, that will invite her into a new standard, a new level of presence. She'll want to rise to your energy instead of pulling you into hers. But you must set that tone from the first moment. You do that by not overreacting. You do that by staying calm when she confesses her pain. You do that by asking her what she's doing to heal, not just how she feels. That's leadership. That's presence. That's the kind of man a woman doesn't just cry to. It's the kind of man she follows. Because he doesn't just make her feel heard. He makes her feel challenged. And in a world of men who pander to emotions, that kind of challenge is rare. It's magnetic, and it keeps the dynamic alive long after the words have faded. Attraction isn't in the moment she opens up. It's in how you respond to it. And if you want her to stay attracted, don't be the man who absorbs her pain. Be the man who helps her transcend it. Number 4, she's anchoring your attention. The moment she starts opening up to you regularly, consistently, and emotionally, something deeper begins happening. Not to her, but to you. She's no longer just talking. She's anchoring you, quietly, subtly, effectively. Every emotional story she tells, every moment she leans on you, every time she lets the pain spill, it draws you in, wraps itself around your thoughts, and lingers long after the conversation ends. You don't just listen. You carry it. You think about it when you're in the gym. You replay it at night. You worry. You plan. You analyze. And suddenly, her problems aren't just her problems. They've become your emotional load. That's not love. That's entanglement. And it's exactly how a woman can gain access to your inner world without ever having to earn it. And no, this isn't conscious. She's not manipulating you like a movie villain. It's biological, psychological, a form of attention capturing so powerful, even kings have fallen to it. When a woman anchors your attention emotionally, you begin prioritizing her emotional world over your own logical mission. You begin shifting your priorities, adjusting your time, reorganizing your schedule, not because you love her, but because you feel responsible for her emotional state. That's the trap. She may thank you. She may call you amazing. She may even start leaning on you more. But with every vent session, every emotional dump, every call that ends with you carrying her pain, your edge dulls, your focus fragments, your clarity vanishes, because you can't build your empire while carrying someone else's storm. You start losing your drive. You stop showing up for yourself. You begin overthinking, not about your future, but about her drama. And here's the kicker. She starts losing respect. Slowly, quietly, internally. She won't say it, but she'll feel it. Because the man who once had purpose, vision, mission, has now become her emotional crutch. And no woman wants to sleep with her crutch. She wants to lean on him. She wants to use him. But she doesn't desire him. You must wake up to this. Your attention is your highest currency. Your presence is your most valuable asset. And when a woman starts using your emotional attention as a support system for her unhealed chaos, you're not building intimacy. You're being drained. So what do? You reclaim your attention like a man who understands his worth. You set boundaries, firm, not loud. You redirect the conversation, not to avoid, but to lead. You ask her what she's doing to grow, not just why she feels broken. You remind her, through action, not words, that your attention isn't free. It's earned, through peace, through presence, through value, not through trauma dumping and emotional dependence. And if she resists, pulls back or gets cold, good. That's not rejection, that's confirmation. That's your sign that she was never there for you. She was there for how you made her feel. And when you remove the emotional feeding tube, she either rises to meet your standard, or she vanishes. Either way, you win, because you're no longer a prisoner to her pain. You're no longer bound to her stories. You're no longer confused about whether she actually values you or just needs you. A woman who respects a man's time, attention, and peace is rare. And when you find her, you'll know. Because she doesn't just talk, she contributes. She doesn't just vent, she solves. She doesn't just lean, she supports. Until then, protect your focus like your life depends on it. Because it does. No empire was built on emotional babysitting. Reclaim your attention. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your throne. Number 5, she's mapping your reactions. A woman doesn't need a notebook, a clipboard, or a hidden camera to study a man. She watches, listens, and absorbs every reaction with precision sharper than you realize. From the moment you meet her, and especially when she starts opening up to you emotionally, she begins to map out your responses, not the ones you intend to give, but the ones that leak out in your facial expressions, your voice tone, your body language, and the subtle shifts in your posture and energy. You think you're having a casual, open conversation, but what she's really doing is collecting data, emotional data, psychological data, dominance data. And this is where most men get played without even knowing they've been entered into a game. Because when she tells you her problems, she's not just looking to be heard, she's gauging your strength, not physical strength, emotional strength. She wants to see if she can influence you, control your tone, bend your empathy, disrupt your certainty. She wants to know, can you remain clear and stable in the middle of emotional noise? Or will you become soft, compliant, agreeable, just to keep the peace? If you do the latter, you lose more than the conversation. You lose her unconscious respect. And once a woman loses respect, there's no intimacy, no desire, no leadership that follows. The respect gap grows like a crack in concrete. It starts small, but eventually destroys the foundation. So when she comes to you with stories of how her life is falling apart, what you do in those exact moments determines what kind of man she files you as. She doesn't ask questions out loud like, can he handle this? Can I emotionally dominate him? Will he mirror my pain or lead me through it? But her nervous system is watching, waiting. Because when you begin offering solutions before she even finishes speaking, she learns that you're not calm. You're desperate to prove your worth. When you start getting visibly uncomfortable, your face shifts, your leg starts bouncing, your tone gets softer, trying to soothe her too quickly. She knows she can steer you like a car on wet pavement. When you interrupt her pain with your own stories, thinking you're connecting, what you're really doing is competing for pain points. And to her, that reads like weakness disguised as empathy. She doesn't admire it, she studies it, she remembers it, she tests it again later in different ways. When she brings up another problem, a past issue, a moment of uncertainty, it's not random, it's calibration. She's checking to see if you still respond the same way. And if you do, you've been successfully mapped. You've been filed under emotionally pliable. And from that moment, you're not the man she looks to when life gets hard. You're the man she leans on until she finds someone stronger. If you've ever been left by a woman who told you, you were always there for me, or you were the only one who listened, but she still walked away, that's why. You were emotionally supportive, but emotionally exposed. You became too easy to predict, too easy to move, too easy to manipulate. And to a woman, predictability without power is unattractive. That's the part no one tells men. You think emotional openness is the gateway to deeper relationships, but with the wrong execution, it's the gateway to becoming her emotional intern. So what do you do differently? You learn to hold frame. That doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means remaining unshaken. It means not reacting emotionally to emotional chaos. When she says, I don't know what to do, everything's falling apart, you don't echo her panic. You don't try to fix. You sit with presence. You ask powerful questions. What part of this do you want to change? What's your next move? And then, and this is critical, you let silence do the work. Let her feel the tension of ownership. That's leadership. That's the energy of a man who can't be mapped because he doesn't play in emotional territory without purpose. Over time, she starts realizing, this man doesn't dance to my emotional rhythm. He holds his own beat. And the more you do this, the more she begins shifting. She opens up differently, not to unload, but to align. Because now you've created a standard, and only women who rise to it can stay near you. This applies far beyond romantic relationships. Your boss, your family, your friends, they're all watching how you respond to emotional noise. Are you a stabilizer or are you a reactor? Do you get flustered when someone raises their voice? Do you try to fix when people complain? Do you absorb the energy in the room like a sponge? Or do you carry your own frequency so deeply that no one else can shake it? That's the difference between men who lead and men who follow. And women, whether they admit it or not, are always looking for a man they can respect, not a man who's perfect, not a man who agrees, a man who cannot be swayed emotionally like a leaf in the wind. So if you want to rewrite the story, if you're tired of being the guy she comes to for comfort but never stays for connection, you must start rewiring your responses. Every time she speaks, treat it like training. Don't fall into old patterns. Practice restraint, practice presence, practice power. And the best way to start? Journal your emotional triggers. Write down when you feel the need to jump in, to fix, to react. Ask yourself, why do I feel responsible for her emotions? What story am I telling myself? Then kill that story. Replace it with this. Her chaos is not mine to carry. Her problems are not mine to solve. My energy is not her playground. Watch how quickly your life begins to shift when you live from that place. Women stop testing you. People stop unloading on you. You start gaining respect, not through words, but through energy. And that's when you become unmappable. That's when your life, your leadership, and your relationships change forever. Number 6. She's marking territory. Most men completely miss this. They think when a woman opens up about her problems, she's simply being vulnerable, that it's a form of emotional connection, that she's letting them in because she cares. But what's actually happening is far more calculated, even if she doesn't realize she's doing it. When she shares her chaos, her stress, her wounds with you, she's not just connecting, she's staking emotional claim. She's planting her flag inside your mind, inside your schedule, inside your energy. It's not always about building something with you. Sometimes it's about occupying space in you, without giving anything back. This isn't affection, this isn't intimacy, it's control. Soft, emotional, strategic control. And most men, because they crave to feel needed, wanted, chosen, hand over that territory without resistance. They allow her access to their attention, their thoughts, their calendar, their peace. And in doing so, they think they're getting closer to her. But in reality, they're losing their grip on themselves. Have you ever wondered why, after a few weeks of these deep talks, you feel more emotionally drained, more distracted, and somehow more attached, even though nothing physical has happened? That's the emotional occupation at work. She's claimed a piece of your psychological real estate, and now, without your full awareness, you're investing energy in her well-being, her drama, her pain, and you don't even realize that she hasn't committed a thing back. No loyalty, no clarity, no reciprocity, just space taken up in your mind. You start adjusting your plans to fit her mood. You start checking your phone, waiting for her next message. You start thinking about what she's going through, not because you care, but because your attention has been hijacked. And that's what she really wanted. She doesn't need your solutions. She doesn't need your advice. She doesn't even need your protection. What she needs is for you to care more about her problems than she does. Because once you care more, she owns you. Now your emotions are no longer based on your goals, your purpose, your vision. They're based on her drama, her inconsistencies, her validation. And here's the part most men don't want to face. She doesn't need to be in love with you to mark you. She doesn't need to see a future with you. She just needs to know that you're available, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, as long as she needs to vent, as long as she needs to dump. That's how she secures emotional leverage without ever offering commitment. You become her outlet, her emotional trophy, her on-call supporter, and that emotional imprint she leaves. It makes it 10 times harder for you to walk away. Not because she's adding to your life, but because she's so deep inside your routine that leaving her would feel like losing a part of yourself. That's not connection, that's conditioning. That's what happens when you don't have boundaries, when you confuse emotional access with intimacy, when you don't demand alignment, standards, or direction. She sets the emotional tone, and you dance to it, slowly, without even realizing it. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can reclaim your energy. You can reverse this dynamic. The moment you realize what's happening, you cut the cord, not by ghosting, not by disappearing, but by confronting your own need to be needed. Why are you so addicted to being her emotional anchor? Why does her vulnerability make you feel powerful? Why are you letting your peace be occupied by someone who only sees you as a container? Until you answer those questions, you will continue to be used, not maliciously, but systematically. And if you want to break free, start with this. Track your energy. After every conversation, ask yourself, did I give or did I gain? If the answer is always that you gave, you're not in a relationship, you're in a transaction, and the price you're paying is your own clarity. Next, set emotional boundaries. You don't have to be available every time she needs to talk. You don't have to listen to the same chaos on repeat. You don't have to carry her pain like it's your own. You're not her therapist. You're not her savior. You're not her emotional dumping ground. You're a man with a mission. And anyone, man or woman, who tries to occupy your energy without contributing to your growth, your peace, or your vision, they're not a partner. They're a parasite. Start treating your energy like prime real estate, because it is. And if you keep letting people live in your mind rent-free, don't be surprised when your life feels broke. A woman who wants you for real won't mark you with drama. She'll meet you with direction. She won't just vent, she'll align. She won't claim territory in your mind. She'll walk beside you in mission. That's how you'll know she's real. But until then, protect your emotional house. Lock the doors, guard the gates, and let no one in who brings chaos as a calling card. If you're tired of giving everything and getting nothing but silence and slow fades in return, if you're done being her comfort zone while she chases chaos, then it's time you took your power back. The Stoic relationship blueprint isn't just a book. It's the emotional survival guide every man was never given. It cuts through the lies, exposes the games, and rebuilds you from the inside out. You want respect. You want clarity. You want peace without sacrificing strength. It starts right here. Comment, "I reclaim my power" below if you're ready to grab the ebook. Like this video, subscribe, and help another man escape the trap before it costs him years he'll never get back. The blueprint is linked in the comments. Take it now or stay stuck in a cycle that was never designed for your freedom.